6 years after her death, she hadn't aged a day. Let's talk about one of Chicago's favorite stories, that of the Italian bride. In Mount Carmel Cemetery, you can find the elaborate marble monument dedicated to Giulia Baccola. Around 1913, she and her mother Filomena immigrated from Italy and joined her brothers in Chicago's Ukrainian village. Giulia fell in love with a man named Matthew Petta, and in June of 1920 they were married. Soon after, Giulia became pregnant, but unfortunately in March of 1921, she and her baby passed away during childbirth. She was buried in her wedding dress, her baby in her arms. This wouldn't be the last time that Giulia's family would see her. For years after, Filomena claimed to have nightmares about her daughter, where Giulia told her she was still alive and begged her mother to retrieve her. After 6 years of obstacles, she was able to be disinterred thanks to her brother Henry, who really shelled out for it. The husband was not involved at all. Filomena tried to pretend that he didn't exist, and his name, to this day, is not even on the monument. Brought her to the surface, opened her casket, and found Giulia still intact. Allegedly, the coffin had started to break down, her child's body had decomposed, but Giulia still had a rose in her cheek. Before I lose the scientist, let's break down why Giulia didn't break down. Catholics would call bodies like Giulia's incorruptible, which means that divine intervention had stopped a person from decomposing. This is often considered an early sign of sainthood, but the likely story is that Giulia's body was saponified, covering her body in, and I hate saying this just as much as you hate hearing it, corpse wax. When body fat mixes with warm, damp environments, like soil in a rainy Chicago summer, body fat transforms into a waxy-like substance, hardening over time and keeping bodies like Giulia's intact. So yeah, it's spooky-ooky, but it can be explained. But that's not the strangest part of the story for me. Once her body was exhumed, Filomena took this photo of Giulia in her casket. And even that's not so strange. Post-mortem photography had been around since the early 1800s. It's that after that photo was taken, it was affixed to her beautiful monument for people to marvel at for a century to come. This isn't lira, which is what they would have used, but it is euro. I just want to leave her a little something. I hope she likes it. Thank you to Mr. Adam Seltzer for his extensive research on Giulia, and to my Southside Italian dad, who told me this story years ago and taught me to drive in this very cemetery.